There's August, the month, and then there's August, the adjective, which means celebrated, honored, distinguished, highly regarded. You get what I mean. But for us here in Jamaica, it's one and the same. It's a special month for us, which is celebrated, distinguished, and of course, highly regarded. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry, and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. This month, it's only fitting that we reflect on Jamaica and how we're able to have our own national symbols, our own currency, judicial systems, among other things. We'll be looking at some of those today, plus so much more. Do stay with us.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, August 7. Jamaica and the Republic of Kenya have signed 4 agreements to facilitate collaboration in sports, culture, tourism, and politics. On Monday, the country's foreign affairs ministers signed a framework agreement on cooperation, as well as a memorandum of understanding on political consultation. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett and the Kenyan Foreign Minister signed a second MOU on cooperation in tourism. And Minister Olivia Grange and her counterpart signed the third MOU on collaboration in the fields of sport, culture, and heritage. The agreements were signed at the office of the Prime Minister on day 1 of the President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta's 3-day state visit to Jamaica.
As we move to capitalize on our historically positive relations, the President and I agreed that improving trade in goods and services, increasing investments, and facilitating the movement of people must be central to our strategy.
We need to deepen our economic relations, because it's by so doing that we also take our people-to-people relations to the next level.
The Kenyan president arrived in Jamaica Monday morning and proceeded on a packed agenda, which included a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and a state dinner hosted by the Governor-General at King's House. President Kenyatta also visited the Bob Marley Museum, National Gallery of Jamaica, and the National Heroes Park, where he laid flowers at the shrine of national hero Marcus Garvey. He also attended the Denby Agricultural, Industrial, and Food Show, and along with his wife were Jamaica's special guests at Tuesday's Independence Grand Gala. The Kenyan president and his delegation departed Jamaica earlier today. The Ministry of Education has developed a strict plan to ensure that the infrastructural needs of schools are met, while government procurement guidelines are strictly adhered to. Minister with Oversight for the Education Portfolio, Carl Samuda, provided details as he made his sectoral presentation in the House of Representatives last Wednesday. A comprehensive audit recently revealed that nearly $1.4 billion is needed to provide furniture and equipment for primary and secondary schools. Mr. Samuda says the ministry's $109 billion infrastructure budget plan will be strictly followed to address those needs.
All projects must be consistent with the budget and procurement plan of the ministry. No variation from this plan will be tolerated. Strict adherence to procurement guidelines have been reinforced. Except in the cases of sustainable, and it has to be sustainable, assessments of emergencies, no officer will be allowed to breach the guidelines.
The minister says bi-monthly meetings have also been implemented to monitor and ensure adherence to the procurement guidelines. Meanwhile, 70,000 vulnerable students at the primary and early childhood levels will benefit from a breakfast program to be rolled out in September this year. Minister Carl Samuda told Parliament last Wednesday that Nutrition Products Limited had put forward a plan to meet that demand.
The Westmoreland plant, as I mentioned here a short while ago, will be reopened, and they will be preparing fruit juices and package the distribution of local foods for distribution throughout the area. And this venture alone, this decision will save some 200 jobs.
He says there are also plans to provide the meals to students at an earlier time.
And we're also making efforts to ensure that the food that they are given each day start at 9 o'clock, as early as possible, rather than to wait until almost midday when they're already very hungry and not able to absorb learning.
Regulatory amendments aimed at strengthening the legislative framework to safeguard the assets of pension plans are expected to be in place by early next year. This is according to Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Colonel Charles Jr. He was speaking in the Senate on Friday, where he moved the Pensions, Superannuation Funds and Retirement Schemes Investment Amendment Regulations 2019. The regulations, which were approved by the Senate, were adopted by the House of Representatives in July.
Target dates have been set. I know that Minister Clark is pushing for them to be done by this year, and I would say at latest early quarter 2020.
The amendments, which aim to broaden the range of permissible assets in which pension plans can be invested, are in line with government's thrust towards macroeconomic stability. And finally, the members of the Senate who will form part of a joint select committee to examine the sexual harassment bill have been appointed. The names of the senators were declared during last Friday's sitting of the Upper House.
Senator Cavan Gale, CD, Senator Dr. Sophia Longmore, Senator Carencia Morrison, Senator Donna Scott Motley, Senator Sophia Fraser Binns.
The senators will join members of the lower house who were previously named to consider and report on the sexual harassment bill, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on July 9. The bill seeks to protect all women and men from unwanted sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and crude sexual behaviors that affect quality of life by creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment. It further makes provision for the hearing of complaints by a sexual harassment tribunal. This tribunal will comprise 12 members, inclusive of 4 attorneys with more than 10 years of practice, and 4 trained and certified mediators who have practiced for at least 2 years. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Catch up on the latest news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister next.
National Partnership Council agrees on monitoring mechanism for special security measures. Minister Vaz hands over bushfire tracking system to Fire Brigade, and Minister Charles Jr. tours Clarendon water supply systems. I'm Anthony Morgan with Jamaica House Weekly.
In recent discussions with the National Partnership Council, there is agreement that there should be established an articulated and dedicated monitoring and reporting mechanism on law, order, and public safety rooted in the Council.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness in his Emancipation Day message to the nation. He said building consensus on the need to scale up the states of public emergency and the zones of special operations was necessary to continue driving down crime. According to Prime Minister Holness, the National Partnership Agreement framework has been successful in building consensus to drive down debt, diversify energy, and increase the ease of doing business. But he says there has been limited success in finding common ground on the crime-fighting aspects of law, order, and security.
I'm confident, however, that it is within our collective will to use the institutions we have established, such as the National Partnership Council, and which have shown results in building consensus around national issues.
Ahead of Emancipation Day, the Prime Minister attended the Governor-General's Independence Reception. The function was held last Tuesday in observation of the International Decade for People of African Descent. Mr. Holness urged the gathering to unite to right national challenges, including crime and violence.
Tonight, is a night for celebration. But as we celebrate, I ask you to contemplate the need for consensus in making Jamaica the safe place we know it can be.
By Wednesday, the Prime Minister, who is also Minister of Defense, was at Up Park Camp for the Jamaica Defense Forces Armed Forces Day Parade. He used the occasion to recognize 200 enlisted members of the JDF with Medals of Honor for general service. The honors are in effect from May 23 this year, and recipients are drawn from the Jamaica Defense Forces 5 divisions. This year's Armed Forces Day drew a large crowd who received a spectacular show as well as the chance to purchase memorabilia. Over at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Minister Darrell Vaz was on the road this past week. On Wednesday, he handed over 33 computers to the Jamaica Fire Brigade, which are specially equipped to track, manage and record bushfires. Minister Vaz said the equipment were timely as the country continues to experience drier than normal conditions. The tracking system is expected to be operational by the end of the year.
These desktop computers that are being presented to the Jamaica Fire Brigade today are part of the ongoing efforts to furnish this critical government department with additional infrastructure. The Caribbean Development Bank must be commended for their part they played in making the funds available for this initiative, and we look forward to the fulfillment of the project's objectives over the next few months.
Since the start of 2019, the island has recorded over 1,000 bushfires. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Pernell Charles Jr., was also on the road this past week. On Wednesday, he toured ongoing upgrades to water supply systems in Clarendon, including Mucko and Rock River. The National Water Commission is currently installing a new water system at Mucko and extending its Rock River supply system to serve over 800 households. Minister Charles Jr. says the installation of piping, replacement of pumping equipment, introduction of 2 new wells, and increasing the NWC supply capacity are progressing smoothly. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.
Jamaica, I can help you protect our citizens.
Jamaica Eye will play a part in increasing your public safety.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, log on to jamaicai.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
The wave of August 6th independence brought with it the right for Jamaica to have its own governing laws and court systems. One such judicial body is the Court of Appeal, which is our final appellate court. Here's a further look at its functions and first world physical design.
Where there is no justice, the people perish.
On any given day, courts throughout the country render the decisions that impact the lives of many people. Our nation entrusts the courts as the final interpreter of the law. The Jamaican legal system is shaped by judicial chambers, such as the Traffic Court, Gun Court, Family Court, Revenue Court, Petty Sessions, the Resident Magistrates Court, the Supreme Court of Jamaica, and the Court of Appeal. Added to the efforts of those seated in these courthouses, the built environment largely impacts the pace of the wheels of justice.
There is too a strong recognition and appreciation that the wheels of justice turn slowly, but I might dare say it grind exceedingly fine. For indeed, dispensing justice is as much a function of the quality and integrity of our learned luminaries of law, and to that we as a nation are not only well endowed and boast a rich legacy of which we can be proud.
Part of that justice legacy is the newly renovated Court of Appeal building, located deep inside the bustle of our capital city, Kingston.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to the symbolic opening of Phase 1 of the expanding Court of Appeal building.
Today marks a significant chapter in the ongoing quest of the Ministry of Justice to upgrade and develop the country's court facilities. Our goal is for courtrooms to be beacons of hope and centers of excellence. Our mission is for our courts to deliver quality service and timely justice to our people.
I want to say how very happy I am with the expansion and relocation of the Court of Appeal. It is a milestone achievement which has significant implications for the people of Jamaica in terms of access to justice.
The $846 million Jamaican dollar structure was made possible through funding support from the European Union. It is outfitted with 3 new courtrooms, 14 judges' chambers, 2 lounges, an expanded registry, and other upgraded facilities.
I stand proud on behalf of the European Union and its 28 member states and share with you this great achievement in Jamaica's history. We are encouraged by these positive achievements, and based on the current rate of progress in implementation of indicators, it is highly likely that the sector will achieve progress.
The expansion was carried out by YP Seaton Contractors, whose detailed architectural plan will provide the nation with a much smoother course of justice.
And I want to congratulate YP Seaton, the architects, because they work 24/7, and most times during the day they could not work because the Court of Appeal was sitting. And so over 70% of the work that they did was actually done after 4 o'clock, right into the night. And believe me, what you will see, ladies and gentlemen, is what I consider to be first-class facilities.
But what does having a first world court of appeal mean for the people of Jamaica? And what of the hopes of those dispensing justice in our nation? The Court of Appeal is the highest appellate court in Jamaica, where persons who are dissatisfied with a decision of one of the other courts, except petty sessions, can appeal to. It is the hope of the Ministry of Justice that this renovation will greatly improve the case flow within the court.
And so, with the provision of this outstanding court, this outstanding edifice, the beginning of things to come, we will meet our goal of becoming the best in the Caribbean, one of the best in the world. And when we accomplish this, we will make Jamaica the place to live, work, do business, raise families, and the 5th one, retire in peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jamaica can be a peaceful place. It must be a peaceful place, and the justice sector will play a pivotal role in ensuring not only peace and justice, but prosperity for all of our people.
Coffee was introduced to Jamaica in 1728. Creighton Estate was established around 1765, and the Blue Mountain Range and the central region of Jamaica, which is the Grand Ridge of Jamaica, were the major coffee producing regions. Currently, we are fully certified under the Rainforest Alliance, and we are the very first entity in the Caribbean region to attain that certification. Now, the Blue Mountain Range of Jamaica is a microclimate of the island and has provided the perfect conditions for growing the Arabica coffee. A typical day in the Blue Mountain, the most sunlight is in the mornings from about 11:32 to 4 p.m. You know, this is the weather that we experience. This is a norm in the Blue Mountain. It's nothing unusual, you know, for the range to be covered with mist. And after sunset, the temperature basically goes below 20 degrees Celsius. So those are the perfect ingredients to develop high quality coffee. You know, the culture here is rich. We're an extremely creative, you know, set of people. In Jamaica, there's everything. If you're a nature lover, we have it. If you like the wetlands, we have it. You know, great coffee, you know, great food. You know, God has been good to us. You know, the God has been good to us. The universe has been good to us, you know, as a country. You know, and this rock, I love it, man. I love it.
As we mentioned earlier, August for us also marks our historic opportunity to carve out our own national symbols, including the national tree, the blue maho. And if you don't know much about the tree and what it can be used for, then watch this.
The blue maho belongs to a family called Malvaceae. It's the same family that includes ornamental shrubs like shoeblack. So the scientific name for the blue maho is Hibiscus elatus. I imagine that the specific name, which is the elatus, would indicate the fact that it is lofty and grows to great heights. The blue maho, as everyone knows, is our national tree. Jamaica has well over hundreds of native trees. It's easy to understand that the combination of characteristics that makes the maho unique is probably what gave it the edge over all those other hundreds of trees. The native range of the blue maho is to the northeastern corner of Jamaica, which is Portland, sections of the Jonker Mountain. The blue maho blooms in the latter part of the calendar. The typical color is a kind of flaming reddish orange. It's more red than orange. The older the flower becomes, the redder it becomes. It bears a pod that splits in the drier part of the early section of the year, the first quarter of the year. And the forestry department propagates the species by collecting the pods. We process them by drying them in trays, and then we extract the seeds. The traditional uses is a fairly wide array. It's used for furnishings, for furniture, for turnery, so you can make articles out of it.
The beauty of it is not much seen when you just cut it, but when the furniture is made and you look at it, you see various colors, and they go in streak and streak. And they're not looking so nice until when they varnish it. It's not stained or anything, just when they polish it off when it's finished. So they use it a lot now. It's strong. It reminds me of the lignum vitae, but the lignum vitae doesn't have those streaks in it like the blue maho. So it makes it very special.
I think people confuse the name lignum vitae and the name blue maho with their roles as national symbols, the one being the national flower and the other being the national tree.
Protect Jamaica, plant your grass. Help us become more resilient to climate change impacts. Protect Jamaica, plant a tree. It improves the island's national biodiversity. Trees may be fruit, ornamental, or timber, but must be native or suitable to the area's natural landscape. Join the Jamaica Million Tree campaign and help to plant 1 million trees by June 30, 2019. This is a call to action by the National Environment and Planning Agency.
Jamaica is such a unique land with stories that can last a lifetime. And added to being an independent nation, we can't deny that we have some very creative minds. Here are some facts you may not know about our country. Number 1, Jamaica was the first Western country outside of Europe and North America to build a railroad system, and that was back in 1845. Jamaica became the first British colony territory to establish a postal service in 1688. Jamaica also became the first Caribbean country to launch a website, and that was www.jamaicatravel.com in 1994. And our last point, famous Jamaican Dr. Thomas P. Leckie. He developed 2 new breeds of cattle through selective breeding and his understanding of genetics. They were specially created to thrive in Jamaica's tropical conditions. We've come a far way as a nation, and there is still so much to achieve. So let us all continue working together to truly make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business, and of course, be the place of innovations.
I love waking up every day in this country. This is where I was born and raised. I have such a passion for my country, and for me, this is home. In Jamaica, a lot of people, they look at just like beach, sea, sand, but our mountains are something to behold. It's majestic up there, and it's a different type of peace. It's a different type of lifestyle completely. I could mention many different places that are amazing, but the one thing I do love about Jamaica as well is that you can find that relaxation, you can find that chill in your backyard. Apart from it being an incredibly beautiful country, an incredibly beautiful island, we have a wonderful, wonderful culture, wonderful, vibrant, colorful people. There is definitely a realness to Jamaica. There's definitely something that no matter what keeps you in touch with reality here. Why come to Jamaica? It all comes back down to Jamaica as a whole. The food, the music, the culture, the people, the climate. Come out and meet us, come out and experience what Jamaica has to offer.
And this is where we leave you for today, but do join us again tomorrow for what promises to be another informative edition. If you missed anything, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube channel. And don't forget to keep up with us via our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. But before we leave, here's a task. Go out today, pick up a book, do some research, and learn something about our history and our culture. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.